Arietta. How you doing, Sheila?
Hey, Neil, how are you?
Fine.
I just wanted for you to expound a little bit on what you said about what the Southern Baptists said was bad PR for God. What do you mean by that?
I think the Southern Baptist hatred of homosexuals is bad PR for God.
Do you think they really hate the homosexuals?
Absolutely. There's not a question in my mind that those people at that convention in Dallas are consumed with an overriding hatred of homosexuals.
I don't know. I disagree. I think they don't like what they stand for, but I don't believe they actually, if they are truly Christians, they don't hate homosexuals.
Oh, well, now you're talking about if they are truly Christians.
That's right.
Yeah,
if
well, you're right. A true Christian would not, but I am not ready to concede by any stretch of the imagination that those people at that those people are universally true Christians at that Southern Baptist convention.
Well, how do you know?
I didn't say that I knew. I said I was not ready to concede. Now, there's a difference. By saying that, I am saying that I do not know.
Right. You don't.
That's right.
So you're judging them.
Ma'am, I am telling you that I am not, and by the way, I have no problem judging people, okay?
Right.
I'm pretty damn good at it, as a matter of fact.
True.
Yeah, and I have no problem judging those people at the Southern Baptist Convention. I judge them this way. It's a whole bunch of people that the less I have to do with them, the better.
Well, that I think is because you're afraid to know what they really believe.
Are you telling me I'm afraid to know God, maybe?
No.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you are.
I think I understand what a lot of them believe. They're scared to death of homosexuality. And one of the overriding things, see, I really got the true measure of the Southern Baptist Church during, 28 years of doing talk radio in Atlanta will help you really come to understand what those people are all about. For instance, a couple, maybe 10, 15 years ago, when there was a radio advertising campaign that was where the Southern Baptist Convention went out and bought radio advertisements. And the advertisements contained a line which said, freedom of religion does not mean freedom from religion. In other words, it is the position of the Southern Baptist Convention as expressed in its radio advertising that no American should, if they choose to be so, should be free from religion. That some sort of religion should be forced upon everybody. So that clued me in a little bit to the ideas and the concepts of the Southern Baptist Convention.
Well,
they consistently are trying to gain control of the legislative process. They are consistently trying to gain control of the educational process. Their desire is to set up a theocracy. They want to govern. They want the ruling authority.
Well, isn't that kind of what our country was founded on?
No, ma'am, it wasn't. And if you think that it was, you're not smart enough to be on the show. Thank you very much. Bye. We'll go to Jeff in Conyers. You're next. Neal Boortz on WSB. Go ahead, Jeff.
Morning, Neil.
Yes.
Neil, you're just getting it all wrong, sir. I'm afraid I just have to tell you.
Yeah. Oh, well, you tell me, Jeff. How am I getting it all wrong?
Good invitation there, Neil.
It was pretty accurate. Go ahead, Jeff. How am I getting it all wrong?
It's not that the Southern Baptists are fearful of homosexuals. We're just fearful of the societal consequences of what this growing general acceptance of the lifestyle will issue a force upon.
What is the matter with accepting somebody else's lifestyle, Jeff?
Well, let's look back at the sexual revolution in the 60s. Basically, back then, premarital sex, it was all about relaxing
Jeff, we're talking
of premarital sex.
Jeff, we are not talking about the sexual revolution of the 60s.
That's where the homosexual rights movement was born, Jeff, out of that.
We're not talking about the homosexual rights movement, okay? I'm not up with that either. What we are talking about is whether or not the Southern Baptists, as a church, are willing to accept the fact that there are people in our society who are homosexual, and the fact that they are homosexual should not mean that they get deprived of their share of participation in the American society. And I do not see who in the hell are you or anybody else to say we should not accept their lifestyle. It is not up to me to accept or reject anybody else's lifestyle. I can accept or reject their attempt to force their lifestyle on me, But if it is their lifestyle, it's not my place to accept it or reject it, nor is it yours, Jeff.
Well, why isn't it?
Because it's none of your damned business how other people live their lives, just so long as they do not interfere with your ability to lead your life the way you wish to.
But that's not what's happening then. They are interfering.
Tell me
almost
how.
Every
How are they interfering with your ability to live your life?
Well, how about the ability to enjoy a public...
Bye, Jeff. Bye. If you can't carry on the conversation without slurring people, Jeff, so long. Jeff's ideal world, ladies and gentlemen, is where when he goes out into public, to a public park, to a shopping center, to a restaurant, or to Disney World, that he will be assured that he will only have to encounter and meet and interact with and deal with and stand in line with and say howdy to people who are like him. But God help him. You,
no,
please,
just the idiots that think that they're God's gift to the world and that they know everything.
We have.
You know, I'm so tired of that. I really am.
Let's remind people, though, Dennis, that at least in my opinion, I believe that the majority of Southern Baptists want nothing to do with what their convention did yesterday in Dallas.
Well, they need to start calling because it doesn't sound like it.
Well, I'm frankly kind of happy that it's the other ones calling. They're a lot more fun.
Yeah, you're having a good time on your show today, but I'm glad because just think, now people can go down to Disney World and they don't have to worry about possibly being on a ride with some bigoted fool. You know? At least I don't have to worry about it. I've never been to Disney World. I might even go now.
I would say the odds are somewhat diminished, so there you go. You've never been down there?
You won't even be stuck sitting on a plane sitting next to one of those people and have to listen to them.
Oh yeah, what if they tried to save you on the way down there?
Oh, geez, that's all I'd need. I've been on a flight with a couple of those. No, thank you.
Just tell them you're an IRS agent, or tell them you're a Satan worshiper. That always gets them.
Oh, or a Catholic. That scares the hell out of them.
Oh yeah, that. In fact, just pull out some beads and start fingering them. That'll drive them right out the emergency exit.
They'll spend the rest of the trip in the restroom.
There you go.
All right, talk to you later, man.
Hey,
bye.
8720750. It's the Neal Boortz Show. You're listening to News Talk 750 WSB. Nothing, are they?
They won't be. They'll be sitting at home listening to the radio if they can even do that.
Well, now, wait a minute. But we're the official station of the Atlanta Braves.
Yes.
So we're affiliated with the Braves that are affiliated with Disney World, so they shouldn't even be listening here.
That's right.
Wow. They're just not going to have anything left to do at all.
Nope.
Except each other.
Sit at home and read their Bibles.
Which they do with regularity. Now, what was I talking about? You're right, John. Hey, thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let me give you a rundown. I want to take this opportunity to tell you about the Dunwoody Demon Driver. And for those of you who came in late, let me explain the situation. Sunday morning, 11:15, I am dropping somebody off in Dunwoody, the Mount Vernon Jet Ferry Road area. I'm dropping them off after having picked them up at the airport. I then wish to head home from that point. My route home is down Jet Ferry, turn right on Spalding, go up to Holcomb Bridge, and find my way home from there. As I am approaching the stop sign at Jet Ferry and Dunwoody Club Drive, this small car, which I thought to be a Mustang, but, you can't identify them, but a small, dark-colored car with a lighter-colored top, comes screeching through the intersection with wheels smoking and the engine just revving. This kid driving this car was showing off at what a stud he was by getting those tires smoking and laid down, I went back and looked at it, maybe 50 feet of rubber tire tracks through that intersection, swerving back and forth as he hauled off down Jet Ferry Road. Well, I came through the intersection after him. Have no desire to try to catch him, but because of traffic, he is always in my sight. Every time he comes to a stop sign, he screeches out with tires smoking. And then he races right up on the tail of whoever's in front of him and then sits there gunning his engine and popping his tires And all the while, he always seems to be in my sight. Never can get very far ahead of me. Finally, I noticed that he slowed down. And I thought, the idiot must be in his own neighborhood. And so I followed him. Through a couple of twists and turns until he pulled into the driveway of a house. He parked it and walked in the door. As he was walking in the door, I yelled down the driveway. I said, "Hey." He said, "Hi." I said, "Just thought you'd like to know. I'll be writing a letter to the police about the way I just saw you driving." "Okay." "And I'll be calling your parents, too." "Okay." So I copied down the address and did my little research and found the name of the guy who lived there and his phone number. And I called him last night. Finally got a call through to him last night. First words out of my mouth, telling him exactly who I was. And as best I can remember the conversation, I could always go listen to the tapes, because I do tape things like this for my protection. As best I can remember the conversation, I said, I saw something involving, do you have a teenage son? No. Okay. I saw something involving a car that ended up in your house on Sunday morning. Well, would you be interested in hearing about? Well, what are you talking about? What are you trying to say here? Well, it was a dark Mustang. We don't have a Mustang. There's no Mustang here. You don't... Sir, all I would like to do, sir, is tell you what I observed, and then you can take whatever action you'd like to. If you don't want to take any action at all, that's fine. I just want to tell you, well, go ahead. I want to hear your story. And, of course, throughout me telling the story about this driver, I think it was you don't know it was a Mustang? Do you know the tag number? We don't have a Mustang here. You don't even know what kind of car it was. You're not very sure about any of this, are you? We don't have a Mustang here. Well, sir, it was a small car with a light-colored top. Do you want me to tell you? Yeah, I want to hear your story. And I kept telling him, well, you're making unfounded allegations. You don't know what you're talking about. We don't have any car like that around here. And I said, well, Sunday morning about 20 minutes after 11 o'clock, it was parked in your carport. You don't know what you're talking about. What's your name? So I gave him my name. What's your phone number? So I gave him my phone number. Not my home number, obviously, but I gave him the phone number. Well, I think you're making unfounded allegations. I think I have legal recourse against you. I have legal recourse against... You're going to be hearing from my lawyer. I have legal recourse against you because you're making unfounded allegations. And I just said, that's fine, sir. I'll just leave you with this. I'm a lawyer, too. My legal expenses will be less than yours. And I hung up the phone on him. But, I know his name, and I'm obviously not going to give his name out over the air. When I called up, I said, is this thus and so? He said, yes. But there's your reaction. Obviously, this guy knows who it was. Obviously, this guy was extremely defensive about the entire thing and not at all appreciative of anybody pointing this out to him. And I expected a negative reaction, but I didn't expect somebody, I'm going to sue you. I've got legal recourse. You're making unfounded allegations. In other words, folks, what a jerk. And whoever was in that car will end up killing somebody someday. Hell, maybe the guy I was talking to was the driver. But there are some real strange people running around loose, aren't there? Really strange. Be careful on the roads. There's fools out there. Neal Boortz Show, News Talk, 750 WSB. Hi, everybody. It's Neal Boortz, and one of the best improvements I made to my new old house was...
That's the goal.
If I was on the West End, if I was in South Atlanta or something, I could leave it. I would have to take the battery. I would have to take the battery that starts the motor, because if I left the battery here, they'd steal it. But if I leave this in Dunwoody, these teenagers around here, they will come by, they will break the lens, they will take hammers, they will crack the mirror, and they will totally destroy this thing by the time I get back here tomorrow morning. And that was my first lesson in the Dunwoody teenager. These kids have parents who make a lot of money. And they are growing up with a lot of perks, shall we call it, and what have you, that they have done absolutely nothing to earn. It is all at the hands of their parents. And for some reason, this Dunwoody-type teenager gets the idea that since they're living in a wealthy environment, that it is because of something that they have accomplished. It is because they are special and that they have accomplished these great and wonderful things. And so they have this holier-than-thou, look at me, I'm hot, my daddy's. I remember when we first moved in 1979 or so, when my daughter was still in grade school, we moved not to Dunwoody, but to a subdivision near there called Rivermont. We lasted 9 months in that subdivision, 9 months before we sold the house and got the hell out. My daughter was miserable in the schools up in that area of town. You know what those kids would talk about in school? You know what their arguments about were in school? Whose daddy was richer? Whose daddy made more money? My daddy makes more money than you do. We live in a nicer house than you do. We have a tennis court in our house. We're richer than you are. And we thought, my God, and we got out of there 9 months later and moved to Tucker, where that my daddy is richer than your nonsense doesn't exist. But there's just something about it. My daddy will sue you. So the level of vandalism and snotty teenagers is so high in Dunwoody, and I guess that's pretty much what I ran into yesterday evening when I finally got a hold of the house from which the demon driver emanated. Let's go to the phones here for a few minutes. Don't forget, stay tuned, folks. I want to tell you about the latest Republican cave-in. This one is going to gall you. From Stockbridge, it's John. How you doing, John?
Good, Neil. How are you?
Fine, sir.
I have a ponderance for your Thursday morning.
Oh, a ponderance.
A ponderance. You owe me a quarter. With regard to your story with the young gentleman that you enjoyed his driving habits, the story from a week earlier with Miranda the Talking Bird, where students at a young age are being told to not trust their parents, and now we have the other case.
Yeah, the students are being instructed in grade schools to write secret letters to their teachers detailing what their parents do at home.
Oh, yes, exactly. I'm well aware of that. And now, which I don't necessarily agree with you that it's more the high-end income parents that have the same attitude, because I've run into it with people of all income levels. It seems it's more and more prominent now, where a child does something wrong and the parents, when I was growing up, it was, well, son, you did it wrong. Go pay the price. Now it's, I'm going to sue, I'm going to get an attorney, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. My question just to everyone is, well, where does this leave the kids?
Yeah, well,
sitting in the middle. Where are they supposed to think, and how are they supposed to pick what's right and what's wrong?
Yeah, that's what I got last night. I could not believe it when I've got legal recourse against you. You're making unfounded allegations. I couldn't believe my ears. I'm thinking, what a complete jerk this guy is. But then all you can do is just say, okay, I've given you the information. Take whatever action you want to on it, and just hang up the phone and let him go.
Well, I had a quick one a few months ago. A young gentleman, a young South Atlanta adult, busted my mailbox, and when I confronted his parents, he told me the same thing. Well, I have an attorney, and through my sources, found out that the quote-unquote attorney he had was the one who was handling his bankruptcy and keeping him from being foreclosed on his home.
Well,
but he had an attorney.
Oh, sure. And so how'd you catch the kid that busted up the mailbox?
I saw him. I was in my backyard.
So
he couldn't see me, but I saw him.
So his father was just completely unwilling to do anything about it?
Oh, he felt that, well, you know, they're just kids.
Oh, yeah, they're just kids.
They're just kids. And
Yeah.
I said, well, it's just my mailbox. So.
Yeah, I'm afraid, sir, that I don't know what causes it. I understand it from the kids' point of view. I hate to say it, but I do in a way. They're growing up with parents that go out and buy them brand new cars as soon as they turn 16 years old. They've always had all of their life everything that they wanted, and they actually develop this mindset that they are living such a good, privileged life because of some accomplishment that they have made, instead of just being members of the Lucky Sperm Club.
Exactly. I think a lot of it has to do with what Zell Miller has touched on in his book, with when my parents and your parents grew up during the Depression, and they taught us how to deal with you don't have it, and now the parents today who got it are saying, well, I don't want my kids to go through that, so I'm going to give them everything. But by giving them everything, you, in fact, give them nothing.
Yeah, you got it. Hey, thanks.
All right, thank you.
Oh, and by the way, before somebody calls and says it, and there are people that this is the only thought process their mind is capable of engaging in, I am not saying that all Dunwoody teenagers are jerks, okay? Not all of them. I'm just saying that the percentage, the jerk quotient among teenagers in Dunwoody is certainly a lot higher than it is in most other areas of metro Atlanta. But I don't need, well, I know some good Dunwoody teenagers. Hell, I know some good Baptists. So, we'll be back. Neal Boortz on News Talk 750 WSB.
Feminists actually admitting that women ought to keep their knees together. I got to read about this.
Dr. Laura.
This is a miracle. Till I kept reading. They are pressing college and university administrators to adopt policies that support pregnant women with special housing.
She's Atlanta's newest obsession.
If I had only known this when I went to college, that all I had to do was get knocked up, I would have spent 4 years pregnant.
Dr. Laura. Weekdays noon till 3. Only on News Talk 750 WSB. Depend on it.
Hi, everybody. It's Neal Boortz.
Here in South Fulton County?
No, in Fulton County. Do you live in Emma's or Nancy's district?
No, thank God, but
No.
it's just as bad. I live in the city of Atlanta.
No, the rule in Fulton County is if you live in Emma Darnell's district or Nancy Boxhill's district, you are not required to pay property taxes. And if they try to collect them, Emma and Nancy will stop them. But, of course,
And you've discussed one of them, but what do you say is it?
their quirk is their desire to... see, I have, and a lot of people equate my comments about the Southern Baptists as a general anti-Christian attitude and what have you. I admire people who live a good Christian lifestyle. I get extremely upset when they decide that they should have some say-so in how I live.
When they try to
my life.
impose it on you, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And they can't seem to understand that makes people mad. I'm just trying to save you for Jesus.
Right. And I would like to throw back to one other comment one of your listeners made earlier on. And actually, I have to say you cut them off before they made their point.
Probably because he was getting foul, if it's the one that I'm thinking of, yeah.
Yeah, might have. But there is a trend of tolerance of inappropriate behavior in our nation right now.
Well, what kind of inappropriate behavior? I mean, we've been tolerating Bill Clinton for...
Well, parents tolerating inappropriate behavior of their kids, for example.
Well, yeah. Are you leading to homosexuality?
No, not at all. Not at all.
You know,
what I'm saying is they equate the homosexual issue with tolerances of other inappropriate behaviors.
I understand. But do you accept, this is what is so hard for people to... Will you accept that for a homosexual, homosexual activity is not inappropriate?
In their mind, I would accept that.
Yeah, I mean, for them, it's not inappropriate behavior.
Right. And I would
Just
also...
like for me, being offensive or insulting somebody is not inappropriate behavior.
But let's take it a step further, okay? You're making an excellent point. Let me take it a step further.
Yeah.
There are people engaging in, say, incestuous relationships that in their mind, it's not inappropriate behavior.
Is it with adults or with children?
Let's say adults,
Well,
for the sake of argument. Or let's say people who are engaging in certain acts of criminal activity, such as embezzling. Okay, this guy is making his money in a way I don't approve of, so I'm going to embezzle from his company.
Well, then obviously you're denying somebody else's right to their property, and under any definition, that's it's not under the Democratic. Not under the Democratic definition, but that's inappropriate when you are violating somebody else's right to live their life, or as they say, see fit.
No doubt. But can you see that in their mind, they are justifying it?
Oh yeah. And listen, the best example of that would be shoplifters. They're out there shoplifting, and
Imelda Marcos.
Yeah, these people charge too much money anyway. They're making obscene profits.
Mm-hmm.
So they know that they're stealing. They're just trying to come up with some logical excuse for it so that they won't feel quite so guilty.
Right. Well, these good folks just feel like the society is being desensitized, which it is, and desensitization breeds certain ill effects also. You don't have to go the homosexual route, but in our desensitized society, you have an increase of inappropriate behavior.
Sure.
That's one of the...
Sure. But again, inappropriate behavior is hard to define. Appreciate the call, my friend.
Man.
Thanks, Al.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like Sun's gotten on the computer here, folks. Gets harder to read. Looks like Tricia will be next. We will also have room for you at 872-0750. It's the...